What's up, guys and gals? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys, as you guys can no doubt tell from the title, Kengan Omega. Kengan Omega, the sequel series to Kengan Asura, which you guys will very well know if you've been on my channel for any number of days, weeks, or months. You guys will know that I do a Friday night stream, Friday night read-throughs of a series I have not covered yet. The last one was Kengan Asura. A very good series. Had a couple of problems with it, but overall, loved the series, loved the tournament. Kengan was some greatness. Now, I initially thought that the Omega series was a prequel series to Kengan. I initially thought that the entire time I was reading Asura. I think it was told to me that it was a sequel series, but a sequel as in like the prequels are a sequel in Star Wars in a way, you know what I mean? Like it comes after, but apparently not. No, this is an actual sequel series. Now, I was told, unlike doing Tokyo Ghoul Re, which was a big regret on my part, that was a waste of my time to read. I was told this time not to continue. I was told read Kengan Asura for the Friday night streams, and most people told me that Omega gets a lot of flack, a lot of hate, and there's some real goofiness in the series, and maybe I should just read it on my own time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have done just that. Friday night streams are still up in the air as to what series I'm going to be reading next, but it won't be Kengan Omega because I've already started reading Kengan Omega, and you guys can tell from, of course, the title of the video, I've read the first chapter 0 to chapter 25. I've read the first 25 chapters, and I've made some bullet points and stuff here, so I thought what we're probably going to do is, if I like the series, if I catch up to the series and I really actually enjoy it, because so far I actually kind of like it, if that ends up being the case, I think I might even start reviewing the series. But don't hold me to that yet because I'm not 100% sure how much I'm going to enjoy the series going forward. Already I'm getting my feet wet a little bit with this series. There's some things I like, some things I don't like already in the first 25 chapters. But I thought, hell, why don't at the very least I get caught up, make a few discussion videos, that kind of thing. I'm not going to promise that every single video is going to be like, this was 1 to 25, next one will be 26 to 50, anything like that. It's just, I read the first 25 chapters, felt like a bit of a good stopping point sort of idea to make a video, so that's why we're here. Anyways, enough of the long-winded explanation as to why we're here. Let's talk about the first 25 chapters of Kengan. Now, Omega, I should say. Kengan Omega. So, right off the bat, I'm just going to go through the bullet points, right? So, it's a sort of in order as I read them, and then I sort of picked out things and I noticed as we're going through. So, it's sort of in chronological order from chapter 0 to chapter 25 a little bit, but I'll probably end up jumping all over the place. First thing is that this takes place 2 years. That's what we've been told. This is 2 years after the end of the Kengan Annihilation tournament. So we do get to see a couple of our characters from the last series. They're slowly coming back into the series. But the beginning part starts us off, of course, with a new protagonist, considering, spoiler alert, Oma's dead. Oma died at the end of Asura. A very heartfelt, we don't want him to die, but a great, that's absolutely, it was a very, very good ending. It was a sad ending, a tragic ending to our very good character. I think everybody likes Oma as a protagonist. But yeah, it's been 2 years since then, so clearly we have to follow the new and up-and-coming rookie, right, to take Oma's place, who, right out of the gate, we already know, he starts working with the esteemed Yamagohan, right? He sees something in Koga, he starts living with them, that kind of idea, and he's going to train him up to enter the Kengan matches, train him up to be a fighter, right? So, I mean, I do enjoy that aspect. Of course, we had to follow a new character. His design's fine. He's a cocky brat who, realistically, he's weak. He's incredibly weak. He's not like Oma. So they're doing something a little different here, which of course I like. Instead of just following the whole, oh, we've got this super strong dude just like Oma, just like this, just like that. We're not doing that this time. This time we've got a guy, not that he's not fit, not that he can't street brawl, but outside of doing a little bit of martial arts and stuff like that, he's clearly not ready for the Kengan level. Not like Oma was. He hasn't mastered anything yet. He's actually way weaker than a lot of the, especially after the end of Asura. So there's definitely room for improvement and stuff. And Koga as a design and as a character and stuff, he's standard protagonist, hot-headed protagonist, but so far not too bad, right? The problem comes in when we get this new guy, the secondary protagonist, if you will. and that is his name is Gao Ryuk. Now, Ryuk is, or I guess it'd be Ryukai. Anyways, there's an I on the end. I don't know if you pronounce it Ryuk or Ryuki or Ryukai. So I'm just going to call him Gao until somebody tells me how to pronounce Ryu. Or I'll just call him Ryu, Street Fighter style. So right out of the gate, is he an amnesia Oma? That's my first question, right? That is my very first question. The moment I saw him, he goes up to Metsudo and he's like, he's got his face. Everyone's saying he's got Oma's face. Like, it's literally identical. So first things first, is he his brother, right? Because Yamagohan, of course Yamagohan would know, automatically says he looks younger than Oma and he's a little bit taller or shorter. I forget which one. But clearly, and that's not something you can really change. You know what I mean? So my first thought was, okay, this is an amnesia Oma. Because it's just a little convenient, don't you think, that the Gao style, which is the predecessor to the Nico style, and this guy with Oma's face just happens to show up and seems to lack much of a personality and much of an empathy or anything of that regard, ends up showing up and wants to enter these Kengan matches. It's sort of like, and ordered by his grandfather sort of idea, who I guess Gao is alive. The original creator of the Nico style, or the Gao style, is alive, but he's not using the Nico style, though the Nico style has a lot of familiarity and similarities, of course, to the Gao style. So right out of the gate there, I'm thinking, okay, younger brother who does not know he's the younger brother of Oma, and that would, and maybe Gao is lying and he just calls him grandfather, but there's no blood relation to the actual Gao, and he just took the name similar to Tokita Nico, Tokita Oma, right? There could be something along those lines, but right out of the gate, I don't really know if I care for him as a character. He seems more of a plot device. Is he the younger brother of Oma? Is he Oma who lost his memory? I don't know how that would be possible, though, because we saw Oma die. Like, Oma straight up died at the end of Kengan Asura, and he's been dead for 2 years. It's over. And he wouldn't get younger or anything. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a little too crazy. So I'm going to go out on the line. I'm going to go out on the line that he's the younger brother, or he's got some relation. He's a cousin. He's a younger brother. Something like that. Because the idea that, like, I think the only reason that, personally, that I'm like, oh, is this Oma who's lost his memories and he's slowly going to get his memories back as he enters the Kengan matches sort of idea. The reason I'm into that theory is, I mean, there's a lot of pinpoint. There's too many similarities to this guy and Oma, of course, but and he seems to have a totally different personality, which is usually what happens when you do the amnesia character trope. You have that sort of thing go on. But one of the big things for me is just that I want Oma back. Of course I do. Like, yes, was it a great ending for Asura at the end? It was very tragic. It was very sad because we love the character. And, of course, I want to see Oma back. I miss Oma. Reading Kengan without Oma feels hollow, feels incomplete in a way. But, I mean, it was a very good ending. So I think that's just my own personal bias, wanting Oma back, right? Yeah, I just want him back. I mean, some characters, they're dead. They should stay dead. But when it happens to a character, of course, that's beloved and we love, and he's our main character, it's very hard to make a sequel series where we're not wishing the main character was alive again. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so that's a big thing. So far, I've got mixed feelings about the secondary protagonist, right? Some other things that come up is that Cosmo has a ponytail now. And he looks pretty cool. He's copying his master's sort of style, you know what I mean? He's got the ponytail, doesn't have the scar or anything, but he's copying his master's style, so that's pretty cool because we get to see Cosmo again, we get to see Okubo again, we get to see quite a few people, you know. Ryo's there, Himura Ryo's there, Kanade's there, of course Kaede, Noji. We get to see quite a few familiar faces as we go through, right? Now, apparently, I don't think this was ever mentioned in Asura, but apparently there's an even bigger underground, martial arts organization called Purgatory, and it's massive. It's like 3, 4, 5 times the size of the Kengan Association. The way it's sort of been described, though, is that they're very much, by the sounds of it, they're big, they're huge. There's this massive corporation, and it's led by this dude who I think is a sort of like the working boss I think he's the boss, and he's also his own fighter. He's his own representative. Like, he enters the tournament, which would be a very interesting switch, because none of the CEOs fight their own matches, of course, right? Even Matsudo and stuff, who give off these great, powerful auras, they have other people work for them. So none of the owners of the Kengan Association fight. It'd be interesting to see that the actual head of Purgatory is a fighter. He's got the build for it. He's got all that, right? So I'm curious if he is going to enter into the matches up against, because basically what happens at the premise of the story is that Kengan and Purgatory want to merge, but who's going to be in charge? So they're going to have a tournament to decide who gets to run the show. Will Purgatory be consumed by the Kengan Association, or will the Kengan Association be consumed by Purgatory? They're going to have a tournament, 13 fighters, 6 months from now, boom, yada, 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 right? So we're already setting up for another tournament. Now, here's... All right, so even though I said it's clearly a choice of quantity over quality, I believe, with these gladiators and such, it was also explained later on near the end part of the last few chapters I read. Cosmo explained that his master said that he entered Purgatory back in the day. But of course he did. These masters are strong as hell. And he said that pretty much, yeah, Purgatory's filled with a lot of different groups. They're ranked like A to C and stuff like that. B's a mixed group, C's like the fodder tier and blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of them. But the A tier has some really strong guys. Guys just as strong as the legends of Kengan. Because now what they've referred to as everyone from 2 years ago who entered that tournament who did well is referred to as a legend class fighter, or a legendary class fighter. So they're not just considered a strong fighter, they're considered the legends. So that's kind of interesting and stuff. And of course, I'm assuming the masters of these people would also be on that level. But yeah, so like Cosmo and Gao Lang and all them, they're considered legends. So according to Cosmo's master, the A-listers, which I'm sure the A-listers are going to be, the entirety of the 13 fighters are going to be A-listers, so it's definitely not going to be a cakewalk for the Kengan Association, but I feel like it's like, okay, so we've already established here are the best. Yeah, there's a lot of fodder in Purgatory because it's much bigger than the Kengan Association, but there are some guys that are just as strong as us. You know, and we got to watch out for that. So that's definitely very interesting. Now, another note I missed about Gao is that his character seems to lack a lot of empathy. He seems to almost be half psychotic. He doesn't understand social cues. He's got that little bit of a sociopath thing going. So I'm a little concerned that he's not... Like, once again, I never liked the character that smiles while they're stabbing someone to death and like, oh, well, they're just there. They were in my way, so I eliminated them. You know, it makes logical sense. You know, they don't understand. They have no emotions. You know, I've never liked the emotionless character, and it seems so far that he's not completely lacking emotion, but he's bordering on that. So there's that. Also, let's see. So Yamagohan. So moving on from that, Yamagohan, it's great to see that he's back, and he's going to be a main staple, of course, of the series. He's also, he's a lot more confident this time around. In the first few chapters, he was all like happy-go-lucky, and he takes Koga to the Kengan match, and he's just matter-of-factly, and he's serious. You know, he's serious with Ryuki, he's serious with Koga, he's serious with these guys, and he's just like, give it a shot, but you get your ass kicked. You won't do this. You won't do that. You know, he's very blunt and confident in his own assessment of who's ready to fight, who's ready to be in the Kengan matches, who's not, that kind of deal, right? So it's good to see that Yamagohan has at least a little bit more confidence. Of course, we still get the classic Yamagohan attitude and the freaking out and the terrified and the shaking and stuff, and everyone perceives him as this great, powerful businessman with an aura of a demon. But yeah, which is always so cool. But yeah, so there's that. So from what I understand is that if this was going to happen, if so this Purgatory match is going to happen. Now, one of the big things is that, all right, see, my notes are a little all over the place, but the 13 fighters, they can't be picked completely from the all-star list. You know, they can't be all the legends, because certain people might not agree to fight. For example, And later on we find out a few things that how you're going to locate them. But another thing is that for plot convenience reasons, Nogi is not, you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows over the last 2 years. There's still people vying for power, different factions within the Kengan Association looking to chomp at the bit. Nobody was doing this when Matsudo Katahara was in charge, and Katahara seems to have is supporting Nogi. But unfortunately, what's ended up happening is they've basically said like, they're still like waiting for that moment that he slips up, and then boom, grab him, right? So the thing about that, for me anyways, the thing about that is that it's not that it doesn't make sense for the characters and everything like that. Katahara had a lot more power, you know, and a lot of more charisma and a lot of more like weight that nobody dared touch him. Nogi, on the other hand, not so much, you know, that wasn't exactly a thing, you know, because he didn't actually win the tournament and stuff like that. So it does absolutely, of course, make sense, but plot convenience-wise, all it's doing is handicapping the Kengan Association, in my opinion, because what it's doing is saying, okay, if we took our actual 13 strongest fighters, no problem. Right? Absolutely no problem. But because of the political turmoil and stuff, as Yamagohan and Nogi and everybody has discussed in multiple different chapters, they can't just pick their 13 best fighters because they need to do it to gain favor with the other factions. Not to say they're going to pull up weak guys, but it sounds like they are going to look for some of the strong guys. Like Himura Ryo is going out and looking for 4 of the best. He's looking for Julius, he's looking for Agito, he's looking for Hatsumi, and he's looking for, of course, Kuroki. He's looking for some of the strongest fighters they have. And Gao Lang and Wakatsuki are already right in there. So if they get all 6 of those, absolutely. But I mean, you guys they can't seem to find Ryan, Oma's dead, you know, people like that, like and they don't even mention like Sao Pang or anybody like that, so it makes me a little curious. They're going to bring in some of the new generation, and I think that's a bit of a, I don't know if that's a great idea, you know what I mean? So that's definitely a thing. It sounds like we're purposely, like, plot convenience, trying to handicap the Kengan Association while we introduce all these new fighters and stuff like that. Once again, haven't gotten to the matches yet. Don't even know who's fighting in it or whatever. We don't even have the Kengan lineup other than a few people. Like Okubo. Like, so we got Gao Lang, we got Wakatsuki, we got Okubo. Those are 3 definite great fighters, so absolutely. But they're definitely going to water down the rest of the roster, I feel. I feel like some of the roster is just going to be watered down, and we're going to sit back when we're watching the matches. We're going to be like, you know, maybe if we had a couple of the stronger, you know, legends from the last series, then maybe this would go more in our favor, right? So I feel like they're doing that just to make the tension high, sort of idea. But maybe that's just me. You guys let me know what you think. Let's see, some other notes here. Oh, yeah, Yamagohan visiting Oma's grave. That was a really nice touch, because apparently Koga has a bit of a vendetta against Oma. And we don't know the full details at this point. It seems like he just beat the shit out of him one time and told him he was weak. I don't know if there's more to the story, but, you know, that seems to be the case. And there's also a new generation of fighters. We're introduced to a few new people. Some people get, like, fodderized right away. Some people, like one guy, beats the crap out of Koga, but then Ryuki beats the crap out of him. So, and he's apparently one of the new all-stars in the last 2 years, what they call the new generation. So there's that. You know, there's I always like seeing new character designs, of course. Like, I know it's not just going to be like when we do a sequel series, we have to have new cast members and stuff. And I don't actually mind Koga that much either. Or the guy that Ryuki beat, that Koga got his ass kicked by, the guy who was using the stinger ability. I forget what his name is, but he had a cool design, and he was kind of a cool character. So I don't know how relevant he'll be. He's training for a spot and stuff like that. You know, Yamagohan already brought up the idea that some of the new generation are going to have to be included because they just can't find all the A-listers and all the legends. So so that's going to definitely be interesting. Now, what else was there? So we do see Himuro and Kanade are back. We don't know that they've apparently been fighting in Kengan matches and stuff over the past 2 years. They're playing it off that Himuro is a lot stronger than he used to be, because even though this you know, the Gao style and all this stuff, and he, you know, he comes out of the woodwork like Oma, and he's able to beat up all these guys like pretty easily and stuff like that. He manages to kind of, you know, all right, you know, I'll kill you right now if you don't give me an explanation, blah, blah, blah. So they're playing it off that he's actually pretty powerful, even though he got his spot stolen, of course, by Kanade back in Asura before the tournament even began. So we don't actually know the full strength of this guy, though the fact that he lost a spot to a non-combatant in the first place, to a guy that I would consider incredibly weak, I wouldn't consider him a legend, personally, you know. Neither one of them would I consider a legend, even though they were from the tournament back then. Apparently they're playing it up that over the last 2 years he trained his ass off. And maybe that's the case, because he seems to be pretty strong, you know. And he tells the Gao style guys, like, the Gao style won't get you far in the Kengan matches. So I'm thinking, like, the Gao style is the predecessor to the Nico style. What the hell are you talking about? Like, the Gao style seems to be doing pretty well so far. So I have no idea really what he's implying by that. Is there something adamant, like, is there something different about the Gao style? You know what I mean? Like, I have questions. Once again, it's an insight from a mid-tier fighter at best. So, what does he really know? I have no idea. But anyways, as I already said, I think Edamitsu, the head of Purgatory, is potentially a boss fighter. I think he's a fighter coach sort of idea. Yes, he's the head, but he's also a fighter in his own organization. Seems to be that way, you know. He was there training. He's got the muscles. He's got the crazy eyes, you know. Something to be said there. We also got Seki being back. So there's a couple people that are back. So we get Seki. We get a new wrestler named Jose. We see Haro again. And Seki. Both Seki, Adam. We see Adam Dudley and Cosmo again, and their master. And they end up training. They all end up training Koga. Because Koga's, of course, we're basically starting out as an apprentice, and they're building him back up. Like, he's got the physique, and he's got the little bit of skill, but he doesn't know how to harness any of his footwork, which Ryuki tries to help him teach. Seki's trying to train his endurance as a pro wrestler. They're trying to teach him how to shadow box and stuff and footwork with Cosmo and Dudley. So that's, you know, it's kind of cool to see these faces again with their new designs and after the 2-year time skip and blah, blah, blah. And we get to see this, but we also get to see them slowly training Koga. Like, he's going to be, I have a feeling he's going to be jumping to a few more old legend characters, jumping from gym to gym, learning everything he can to sort of combine it all into one martial arts to make his own sort of idea. So he might go back, you know, he might end up with Sao Pang and Gao Lang or something, learning a little Muay Thai or something, boxing, who knows. So yeah, so there's definitely that. That's pretty cool. As I said, I do like the new wrestler, Jose. I really like Jose. He's really a cool design. He's got the ponytail. He's got the build. He seems to be able to take, like, he's got just this endurance and this durability that seems pretty intense. But there's one problem with him. He apparently, and I actually made a note of this, he likes his steak well done. So he instantly dropped from, I might like this new guy, to, oh, he's never going to be in my top 10. He just can't be. If he likes a well-done steak, I can't. I just can't, guys. So there is that. I'm absolutely appalled by that. So yeah. Let's see. So we already talked about the 13 fighters, Gowla, and that the Kengan Association is a little handicapped by trying with the political plot convenience. But once again, it does make sense for the plot. So though I mention plot convenience, it's not necessarily like it's not out of nowhere. It does make sense considering how Asura ended and all these people were chomping at the bit to become the new chairman. They're not, you know, they haven't given up. Even after 2 years, they've not given up the idea of grabbing power the moment Nogi slips up. So that does make sense. So Gowlang and Waka were confirmed to fight, which is awesome because Waka, of course, is powerful as hell, and Gowlang got done a little dirty in the last tournament. So I'd like to see him. You know, shine once again. You know what I mean? Like come back and just completely pulverized and stuff, and that's what I'm sort of feeling like. I feel like they're going to bring in a couple of the real class legends. They're going to dominate their fights a little one-sided, and then it's going to be the rookies and the mid-class people that are going to really go toe-to-toe, long chapters, long fights. That's just me. I don't know yet, but I'll have to wait and see. Now, the guy from the end of the series, the guy who looks like, the classic American with the aviators and the Hawaiian shirt and stuff, the slick back blonde hair, he apparently is Edward Wu, and he has the Cure Clan eyes. He wants a spot, one of the 13 spots for Purgatory, so he wants to fight against the Cure Clan. So clearly a member of the Cure Clan is going to... It'll be actually really funny if the Cure Clan actually doesn't bring anybody to the fight because they can't find Ryan. They can't apparently find Ryan, so that's a bit of an issue and stuff like that because we already talked to some of the Cure Clan people, and apparently they're still on looking for him, but they can't find him. But they have some type of history with the Cure Clan. They want to demolish the Cure Clan. They seem to be like the forefathers, like they stole our techniques 1,500, 5,000 years ago, and the Egyptians were whatever, that sort of... plot line going on. There's clearly history and stuff like that, but I guess he must be pretty powerful. He's got that G.I. Joe look to him, so have to wait and see what happens there. Once again, I already mentioned that Okubo has rejoined. He's looking really, really strong, and Okubo is definitely the king of combat. He's not a weak fighter. I liked Okubo the entirety of Asura, so I'm definitely going to enjoy seeing if he can sort of get a little bit of prestige back, because I felt like, once again, anybody who basically went up against the Fang or anybody like that sort of got done a little dirty. Anybody who went up against Waka, anybody who went up against Agito, anybody who went up against some of these like legendary class in the top 4 sort of idea, they did not that they got done dirty, but they probably could have went further had they not had a bad matchup. Just saying. So yeah. I mean, I think we all know that and stuff. And Himuro was, of course, sent out to look for Hatsumi Sen, Kana Agito, Julius Reinhold, and Kuroki Gensai. Now, it'll be funny if he finds none of them. Apparently, he might have found one of them, I'm assuming, because the last chapter I read, chapter 25, Yamagohan is on the phone and apparently found one of the people on the list. I'm assuming that's who he's talking to. But so he found one of the 4. Which one? I'm going to bet that he found Gensai. He found him, but Gensai's going to refuse because he's got no reason to enter the tournament this time. Remember, somebody asked him last time. He had no reason to enter the Kengan Annihilation tournament, and he won it. He's got no, holds, no nothing, no accountability. There's nothing in this tournament that means anything to him, so why would he enter? And what would convince him to enter? So... if he found Gensai, it doesn't mean that he's actually going to join. And I feel like that'll be almost unfair once again, because I think that this is going to stack up. Half the team's going to be legends, half of them are going to be rookies, and it would be just unfair if you just had all the old faces show up and kick the shit out of the Purgatory guys, right? So, yeah, definitely. And maybe I'm underestimating Purgatory. Once again, Cosmo's Master, definitely a top-class legend fighter himself, is saying that the A-list is made up of some pretty powerful guys, just as strong as any of our Kengan members. So that's fine dandy, but maybe the A-listers maybe they only number 9, or 10 at best. And they're going to have to grab a few B-listers because, once again, it's quantity over quality with Purgatory, unlike Kengan. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. This is just all speculation, of course, right? And then what else? What else is there? Looking at the notes. Oh, there's another guy, Nitoku, who apparently fought against Agito and actually gave him a run for his money. He apparently would have went quite far in the tournament, so they consider him, even though he wasn't in the tournament, they consider him a legend class fighter. Now, he's a legend class fighter, and he's showcasing this against this guy named the Ghost, which... horror element for some reason. That was kind of creepy to read. It was late at night, it was dark, and I was reading it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of creeping me out, the whole ghost face stuff going on. But definitely interesting to find out that he did lose, but he pushed Agito before, of course, he learned what he learned in the tournament and stuff. So clearly not as powerful as the Agito from the tournament in Asura, but still the Fang of Matsudo, who only used Formless, who didn't need to do anything else. He just used Formless and he kicked the shit out of everybody. So apparently pushed him to the brink. Similar to Gao Lang. Gao Lang pushed Agito to the brink that he had to change up his style, change his form, all that fun jazz. So I guess he's on par, and that's what Cosmo and everybody admits. So this guy all right, all right. And apparently he refuses to join the tournament, but he might join the tournament. So a new character, but a legendary class fighter, so not a rookie. It'll be interesting if he actually joins the roster, but I assume that he is going to join the roster because there's no reason to introduce him, show us a match where he dominates, to tell us he fought against a Fang, just for him to not be involved. That would just be silly, right? So there's definitely that. Now, the last part, of course, is the fact that this guy, Yuzaki the Ghost, was murdered, right? And they're making it like they're like really red herring us that it was, of course, our secondary protagonist, Gao Ryuki. Now, the thing about that is, if that's the case, they're really laying it on thick that that's absolutely him, especially with Akoya, the cop, the crazy murder cop, vengeance cop, all about justice. The justice cop, he is looking into this murder, of course. This is how we're going to shoehorn him back into the series. I don't think he's going to be a fighter, but they're shoehorning like all the characters getting involved once again, sort of idea, showcasing some are going to, of course, they can't all participate, but they're going to shoehorn in all these subplots so that everybody's involved, right? So we get to see all the familiar faces. I mean, that's fan service, right? You got to do it. But he's back. He apparently, of course, he's investigating the murder of the ghost. But he also believes it to be, he's like, is it coincidence that I saw the Gao boy, there and stuff like that. So they're shoehorning it for us, the readers, and for Akoya as a character to say he's murdering people. And of course, setting him up as this psychopath, setting him up with lacking empathy and emotions, and the fact that he was willing to murder people during his matches and stuff, and Yamagohan had to stop him earlier on in the series, tells me that, yeah, they're really laying it on thick. They're setting it up that he's out there murdering people. So, for what purpose? Who knows? I have no idea. And yeah, the other thing is apparently that this ghost is not the original. And we at first thought, like, it was sort of showcased that, ooh, like, failure is not an option, and the head of Purgatory, what's his name again? Idemitsu? Idemitsu had him murdered by one of his like top elite guys, one of his other gladiators. But then later on, basically calls Yamagohan and says, and it's even confirmed later that, look, we didn't actually do this. We did not murder, and not only did we not actually murder the ghost, that wasn't even the ghost. And how he knows is, number one, the eyes, but number two, he used the snake fist, but a different variation, a different style of the snake fist, not the same school of the snake fist. Very similar, but he could tell the difference. And he said, so what do you think about that? And now Yamagohan knows that it was an imposter pretending to be the ghost, and and Idemitsu has already had his research done and found the body of what they assumed to be the original ghost, who was a Purgatory gladiator, was already murdered a while ago. So there's an imposter who got murdered. What's going on? Who murdered him? So now we have a murder subplot going on with who's killing off, why impersonate a Purgatory gladiator in the first place, and then who murdered said imposter. Right? So we're setting up quite a few different subplots and everything like that, and I have no problem with that. I think that that's really freaking cool. I really do. Like, because so far we have multiple subplots of who is this Gao boy, because we've always been wondering, like, because it was sort of left open-ended, with the stories about Agito and Hatsumi Sen and Kuroki Gensai and stuff like that, like the Gao style, right? Tokita Nico, all the stuff, the Tiger's Vessel, where's that guy? Where is he, So Tiger Nico and all these people, like, we have a lot of unanswered questions. So we're continuing that through the eyes of new characters. We have the new and up-and-coming Koga following his journey, and then we have this match of Purgatory introducing all these new characters, but then we have subplots. We have multiple subplots alongside the main tournament. So definitely so far, for 25 chapters in, or 26 if you count chapter 0, I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. I've went over everything. As I said, this is just a discussion video of me highlighting a few things that I like, that I don't like, my predictions, that kind of idea. As I said, I think half the roster is going to be filled with new faces, and the other half of the roster is going to be our legends, And of course, we're not going to be able to have them all, which kind of sucks. But anyways, that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. that's the video. What do you guys think of my take on Omega? And as I said, so far I've heard that it was really goofy and a lot of people don't really care for it and stuff like that. But I personally, so far, 25 chapters in, as I've already pointed out, there's a few things that I'm sort of like, not really crazy about, or new characters that I'm sort of meh about. But so far, 25 chapters in, not bad, not bad. We're already setting up a new tournament, and Kengan, if nothing else, has very awesome ass fights. So looking forward to see some of the old faces back in the ring, sort of idea. So far, I don't see any many glaring issues with the sequel series so far, but there's a lot of chapters to cover. So anyways, that was the first 25 chapters of Kengan Omega discussion and my thoughts on them. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe as always. And fourth and most importantly, don't forget to drink responsibly, as I always do. And we will see you beautiful people back here once again for more Kengan Omega discussions as I read them. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.